I'm going to call the regular meeting to order at 7 o'clock and ask Charles Morange to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion, the Board of Mayor Burgess approve the revised minutes of regular meeting July 5, 2022. Each member received copies for review.
Questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion, the Board of Mayor Burgess approve the monthly reports of July. Each member received copies for review.
Second. Questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so tonight, I think the meeting will be relatively short compared to some of our recent meetings. No guarantee on that, but that's what it looks like to me. And a lot going on. Concert, I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Are they gonna go to the high school?
No, too late to go. They haven't been called by 3. Oh, so he's not.
So what happens?
It's looking pretty dark out there.
This is an art commission matter here. I'd like you two guys to solve it for me.
He's running away.
They can move it to the 10th.
They moved underneath the town hall.
Well, it looks like the storm's going away. Um,
For
I don't know, it's looking pretty
What?
dark.
people in Linden probably got wet.
Yeah.
You know what wet dogs smell like? Police dogs.
all right, so, just for everyone's information, right now, there's a webinar that I was watching that's being put on by DEEP about fish passage in the Naugatuck River. And, I know we talked about this before, but through Naugatuck Valley COG, we're making, incredible progress in the potential decommissioning of the Kinney Town Dam, which would possibly be taken over by a land bank controlled by Naugatuck Valley COG. And we would be applying for federal funding. And what that would mean is that there would be fish passage directly from the ocean all the way up to the Thomaston Dam.
You would
So
take
it's,
that dam down at that point, right?
yeah, decommissioning is taking it down. There's various ways to do it, but it's a pretty involved process. But I think that the long and the short of it is Naugatuck Valley COG, our 19-town region, will take control of the dam and, basically control its ultimate destiny, rather than leave it in the hands of a utility company that hasn't done anything with it for a long time. So a very good chance of good news in the valley going forward and for the health of the river. And so you'd be able to catch shad in downtown Naugatuck, which is big fancy game fish. People will come from all over, and with some luck, maybe even striped bass, but who knows?
Oh, sure, because they got them in the Housatonic.
I know, so it's very cool stuff. So Naugatuck Valley COG, yeah, let me just say one thing. Naugatuck Valley COG, if people don't know, is a great organization, 19 towns that work together on all types of issues. And this is one of them, and all 19 towns have been working together and fighting hard for this to happen. So it's a good thing. Mike?
I just want to know if we can take the dam tour.
Yes,
I'll be there.
you'll be on the first boat.
Who would actually be in charge? Do they form a committee to do it, or the officers of the COG, or?
So if you want to read the emails and you have a few hours, I'll show you. It's quite involved. But I'll just say that there are a lot of technical people lawyers, engineers, environmental experts, people from DEEP. There's a large group. And I guess Mayor O'Leary and I are sort of in charge of it, but the experts do all the work and control everything. So a lot of interesting things. It's a big project.
Question,
Yes.
just out of curiosity, and again, I don't know anything from anything, would that raise the water table of the Norrington River at all? And the only reason why I'm asking is because I took my kids hiking up to, over by High Rock over there. And there's normally the waterfall and the wading pools and everything, and it was bone dry. 'Cause we had-
Yeah, well, that's,
So
I would say that that's related to the drought conditions we're in. The water table, this is only a guess, that it would remain similar to what it is in the Naugatuck area. Now, what would happen south of the Kittytown Dam? I guess, I don't want to comment, I don't know.
Okay.
But I would think in Naugatuck, the water level would remain the same.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we will now go to public comment. So anyone in the public who would like to make a comment, in the audience, on Zoom, please raise your hand or otherwise make it known that you would like to speak. So Jim K is monitoring. Is there any action, Jim?
No, there is no action.
All right, I'm gonna do one last call for public comment. All right, hearing none, we'll go to the Naugatuck Ambulance Corps monthly report. And it looks like Deputy Chief Hanks is gonna make the report this month.
Well, Kyle had a pre-existing commitment, but we couldn't make it today. Yes, actually, beg here. Let's hear briefly, 414 calls in July. It was a fairly average month for us. One thing that is outstanding on the calls is, you know, it's usually in is 13, about an average number. But we went out of town 66 times. Majority of that to Waterbury, followed by Hillsborough. We're dealing with some issues up there. We're meeting with their services up there. Waterbury's having a significant issue covering Gamble Falls. Very similar to where we were a year ago. We're dealing with 2 commercial services.
What about Middlebury?
Same issue too. There was an issue, there was a call, and what we'll do is we'll only send one ambulance to Waterbury, we'll not send both up there. We still cover here. Waterbury had a call last weekend where we were in Waterbury, Middlebury couldn't handle it, and Beacon Falls. They got Seymour. Certain towns in the area don't go, so that's an issue we'll be working on. You see, response times are good, under 7 minutes for emergency and non-emergency. Call times vary, afternoons, mornings, they vary month by month. As far as vehicles go, we put a newer used vehicle in place, we able to purchase that on loan, get a loan from the fleet replacement fund, we're making repayments on that. The still is auto body, did a great job painting it, Vegas Signcraft did a really great job on that. We have a brand new ambulance on order that will not take us for the year. So by the end of this year, we're going to have 4 integrated ambulances. The van that is down at Rich's now has another antifreeze leak. That's got 260,000 miles on it. It's about twice the average that we get out of it. I think that's a test with the Ford now. But they'll be retired with no more orange and white cars by the end of this year. And that's been the crew to responding. We have been having great success. Employees who are off duty coming back for the 3rd and 4th ambulance call. It was an issue the other night. We had 5 ambulance calls in 10 minutes. They were not all transport. Sometimes people refuse transport, but that's 5 ambulance calls in 10 minutes. 3 of them were falls with a different degree to call, and 1 other. There's no way to predict that. The crew's been stepping up and coming in off duty, grabbing the other car, and then responding. With in-house training for the staff to get them staffed up, and new radio systems coming into play. And Kyle and his staff have been involved with the fireworks, the Elderly Commission, the health fair, Walmart, and doing the standby for the volunteers. Things are good. And next Wednesday, on the 10th, if you're around after 5 o'clock, we stop down for the 1-year anniversary of the reorganization. We have a food truck, and we have a celebration.
So Ken, I love the fact that we're the strongest core around,
Absolutely, yes.
and we're helping Waterbury. Are they evaluating their situation
Yes.
like we did?
Yes, they are.
So who's in charge of that?
It's, they have two PSAs on Waterbury. And that's always been an issue.
It's the two companies, not the city of Waterbury?
Not a city, it's not Trinity, it ain't about. The commercial services are much struggling. Because they are looking at a bottom line. So they will adjust staffing, for minimum staffing, and they will overload the costs. Which is the picture that is. Trinity used to be Camden Ambulance, they were bought out by Trinity. That's. We want to serve the organization. As well as possible. But we're working with them to crack it up with, try to help them out the best we can. They helped us out with a couple years.
Can you show a larger increase in revenue with these out of town calls?
Yes, we do bill, okay, mostly to be Medicare, which is gonna be a low pay rate, but we do, when you go out of town, we do plenty of. Like the state of Connecticut they changed the law on revenues last year. It used to be if you went to an ambulance call and you didn't transport, you couldn't bill. So an example would be, someone had a diabetic crisis. You gave them some sugars, orange juice, they popped out of it, they feel great, they have not going to hospital, you couldn't go for that. The state now allows us to do a what's called a treat, not transport. We get about $85, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So even in those cases, we're still getting some money. We're holding our own financially.
All right, any questions for Ken?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 8. So Jim K, could you put that map on the screen? Oh, let's do this. Let's go to item 11. You're Jeffrey, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Big moment. All right, item 11. I hereby appoint Jeffrey Erdman, 44 Osborne Road, as an alternate member of the Arts Commission, filling the expired term of Francis Santana, term to expire 4/1/24. So, Mr. Erdman, why don't you come forward, give us a 2-minute version of who you are, and then I'm going to swear you in. By the way, congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you to the committee. It's a pleasure to be here in Needle. I'm originally from Long Island, but I've been living here in Norfolk for the past 10 years. I'm currently a music teacher with the Waterbury Public School District. And I've actually been a teacher for 20 years between here and even back on Long Island. So, and I've also been a professional musician for about 25 years as well, playing, obviously back home and certainly here as well. And when I was told about the opportunity about possibly being on the committee, I definitely intrigued by it. So I wanted to get some more information about it. Mr. Meringue, came to me and gave me a few things about it. So I said, all right, I'll try it out. So here I am.
You're from Long Island, you have to be okay.
I tried.
My family had a home in Northport
Oh, okay,
and relatives in East Islip, West Meadow.
okay.
Spent a lot of time out there.
I'm originally from the South Shore, so I know Islip and Patchogue very well.
Good fluke fishing.
Yes.
All right, Jeffrey, come forward. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Jeffrey Erdman,
I, Jeffrey Erdman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will fulfill the duties
that I will fulfill the duties
of the office of Arts Commission member
of the office of Arts Commission member
in accordance with the Charter of the Borough of Norfolk,
in accordance with the Charter of the Borough of Norfolk,
the laws of the state of Connecticut,
the laws of the state of Connecticut,
and the laws of the United States of America.
the laws of the United States of America.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I'm all through the Arts Commission doing more stuff, so I would like the new members, Charlie, and yourself and others, think about expanding. You're not limited to Tuesday nights on Green. We're gonna have a lot of cool projects downtown. We're talking about doing murals on some of these walls around town. There's a lot of room in my mind for the Arts Commission to be more active and do more. And, if money becomes an issue, we'll we'll see what's involved. We have some sources of revenue for some of these projects, so let's find a way to use our talented people to enhance the town. And we love music, so keep up the music.
Yes.
You say you're a professional musician, what's your instrument of choice?
I'm a trombone mainly, but I do play some other instruments.
So that's good because we don't have a single decent brass.
So I guess the pressure's on.
You didn't see it.
No. I've known Charlie for many years. Actually, he was one of the first people that I met when I moved to. So he was the director of the community at the time I moved to. And, he did a great job there, and it's amazing what talent this man has. And I'm not just saying that either. I mean, he wears a lot of hats.
A lot of talent out.
Or you could take the rest of the night
We're all
off, or
set.
stay, whatever you
We'll
should.
catch the raindrops. It'll be a really nice rainbow pretty soon.
That doesn't look good.
No, it's kind of went out.
Pleasure meeting all of you.
You too.
Yeah,
Not as strong as it is now, no.
The sunlight is hitting the dairy buildings.
It's not as common, I think it got worse with the general.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Oh, I have the window.
631.
Yes. All right, you want the soil?
Yeah.
127. Oh, okay. And here, we one tends to be further back.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. And the big board.
I know.
So you can sort of see the colors. Can you,
Yeah, oh,
clear up the colors at all, or is that the best we can do?
I can zoom it in a little more. I mean. I have the pan to the right, if you want it on the right side.
I'm gonna just start off. We've been, talking about acquiring the Uniroyal property, and, we agreed to do it.
Right at the post office.
Right, everybody pick the pot of gold. It's in the post office. We don't write a budget.
yeah, left. We got the.
It's a sign, Pete. It's telling us, you're doing good stuff.
Right over Bob's head, what that means.
The rainbow. Gotta be a shirt.
Well, great, get a picture.
That's a big.
Go down there with my.
Yeah, there you go. That's a big.
That's all.
Should we start singing? Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow.
I think they're more like.
It's kind of over to see the end of it.
True.
Good night, Pete.
That's beautiful. That's
It's
a good sign.
Yeah.
All
right.
The rain, blue, the yellow.
We have that.
I know. It's amazing. They're clear.
Yeah. It's about the first one.
It's up there.
It's probably gonna split into two, it's not a double.
The rainbow got everybody so excited, we're changing chairs.
I don't know what they're gonna do for lunch with me. I know why.
How's that? Thrown away. That chair getting thrown out?
Oh. Sit like this.
Oh, it tilts. One of them tilts. Yeah.
We had to put a piece of tape on there and says it tilts. NG.
All right, good. Oh, it's still there.
Gonna stay here till the end of the meeting.
Slowly fading.
All
right. Well, that was exciting.
All right, Nancy, the record should note that a large rainbow is showing a pot of gold on the Langston's property.
Perfect timing.
All right, so, we've had a lot of meetings and we've done a lot of motions to buy the property, and they've all been, late at night after executive session. So I thought we should have an earlier, public discussion, about what's going on, where we are, and, what the next steps are. So this map is showing a lot of detail. And it's basically showing proposed buildings in various areas that I'll mention. It's showing soil areas that impact remediation and the schedule of construction. It's showing a new road network and temporary construction roads. So if you look at the map, in the upper portion of the map, in the green area, and by the way, green is a soil that's not perfect. It has to be capped, but it doesn't have to be taken off site. The orange area up there requires that it go under a special liner or a building. Again, doesn't have to go off site. So in the upper area, in the areas of A, B, and C, that is the area that will be one of the first areas to be developed. And that is an area where we have a proposed data center we're working on to go in that area. And the reason this site is extremely attractive for that type of use is the proximity to the electric substation that you can see. Well, I can see on my map, you can, it's just above the fuel cell area. It's blocked out by, there it is. That electric substation is what's required to deliver electricity to a data center, because data centers require a lot of electricity. Now the area just below it that is also in green, you move it up a little, Jim, that we're calling building D and E. We also have a data center that is interested in that area. So we're working with two potential data centers for the two upper tiered areas on the Lanxess site. Now, from a soil management standpoint, basically what would happen is in the areas of building D and E, that is the cleanest, best material on site. So we would be undercutting that, in other words, digging deeper than we need to dig for the buildings, taking the good soil and relocating it on site for use elsewhere. We'll also be digging in the areas of buildings A, B, and C to relocate that soil and fill in the areas where building D and E are. So you can see a temporary construction road that we're showing running up right to that area so that we can begin soil excavation very early in the process. So the first two things that will happen on site would be the construction of the road network, the utilities, and building, in essence, pad sites, and the building of the temporary construction roads so that soil can start to be relocated. As we go to the lower portion, building F and the 19 acres across the river that's reserved for the Port of Naugatuck. Those areas require more liners, and they're going to be the last portion of the site to be developed. So while we're working with railroads and determining whether or not that project will move forward, it's really not a problem because we're going to start working elsewhere on the site and reserve that area and keep working on that project. So we have an application that we filed with the state for funding to build a road network. And that application, we think it's very strong. And we're hopeful that we will win on the first track. If not, there's several more bites at the apple, but we're doing everything we can to, I'm going to say, to start this project right away. So I know that all the Burgesses know this and it's not news. And I know we always discuss it late and we make motions late in the meetings. Sometimes Andreas has to go to bed too early and he might miss it. But in any event, I felt it's appropriate that we have a public discussion on the record so that the public people know exactly where we are in this project. So I'm going to stop there and take questions or thoughts, or is there anyone that would like to chime in? All right,
Let's get going on it.
all right, I'm with you. I'm full speed ahead. All right, I really felt like no one knows what's going on except us, and we should make it clear for the record what is going on. So that's what's going on.
Absolutely. I think most people that will see this will appreciate a clear understanding of what we're going to do.
Great.
It's just nice to see that all of these properties that have been long, quote, abandoned, there's actually movement being done. And I think at this point, any progress is good progress.
When you look at the concept of this data center, that's really important. It's going to be a great, every plaza needs an anchor store to really build around. A data center, from what I understand with data centers in general, that's the type of thing that's going to bring other businesses closer to Naugatuck or into Naugatuck to want to utilize it. The power source, it's just the perfect fit if we can get it. That power source there, redundancies and being able to bring power in, that's exactly what these data centers are looking for. And this would be a really great way to make the hook to get even more business in town, going in the right direction.
And we're bringing in, we're getting help from DECD and the governor's office to work with Eversource and with our engineers and other engineers to get enough power to that substation to service this area.
And the project's a no-brainer. Any approvals by the state of Connecticut should be no-brainer. This is an ultimate project, not only for Naugatuck, but for the whole state. That's the bottom line.
You figure our proximity to New York makes us ideal for this type of location and business to happen here and development there. That was the chemical property. That was part of the heart and soul of Naugatuck's industrial at the time. We're taking it, repurposing it as something that fits
For the future.
21st century.
So we've been working on it a long time with land use, engineering, remediation, and we now have what is required to move forward, a shovel-ready project. The only thing we're missing is the funding to complete it. And that's the most important aspect in applications to the state. So we now have a shovel-ready project and we're going to go full speed ahead. Okay. Parcel A discussion. I also thought we should publicly just talk a little bit about parcel A. We've been talking forever about parcel B. Parcel A, for anyone, I don't even know if there's anyone out there in Zoom land, but for anyone who watches this, is the Naugatuck Event Center, the 380,000 square foot building. So we have sent out a request for proposals. We've received requests, and we are in the process of setting up interviews for that project, which will be the week of August 15th. In fact, I think we have a tentative date that has been sent out, 16th, August 16th, which will be a site tour and an interview of one of the proposers. And what I'm trying to do is I want to get parcel A on the same basic schedule as parcel B, that all the engineers coordinated and working together, which will include our town engineering team, Kleinfelder, who's doing our stormwater and sanitary sewers, the engineering team for parcel B, the engineering team for parcel A, and the state of Connecticut DOT. So there's an awful lot of engineers involved in this, and the sooner they start talking to each other, the better. So we had our first meeting of all the engineers last week, and we're moving as fast as we can. So I want to get, I would just say that along the lines of what we did with Penrose and the Cloud Company, I would like to get the parcel A project on the same track and proceed with everything at once, which means that we're going to have our storm water, sanitary sewer, downtown, Church Street, Maple Street, ARPA renovation as one project. We have parcel B as a project. We have parcel A as a project. We have Eurorail as a project, and we have Rubber Avenue as a project, all happening, you know, I'm going to say in the same 2 to 3 year period. So there is going to be, as I said, and there already is a lot of action all at once. So we've been waiting for the trains. The trains are resolved. There's 22 trains a day running back and forth. We have a real reliable commuter line, and this is the time to move forward, and we are. So that's the basic plan. The Burgesses, this board has been talking about it, but it's good to get it out there to the public. And Andreas, you can piece it all together in your spare time. Okay? Any questions on parcel A or B? And by the way, some Burgesses have already come in to look at the parcel A proposals. Everyone's invited, you know, just call ahead and we'll have the proposals there ready for everyone to evaluate and look at, ask questions. You know, I try to make it as inclusive as I can. Everyone can come, look, ask questions. So it's here every day. Just call Janice and set up the time to come in. Good. All right. Revaluation. Another exciting topic. So I'm going to start off and then maybe have Shelby chime in, but there's a lot going on. So we've got our preliminary residential. Right,
Right on time, rainbows.
rainbow drainage. We've got our preliminary numbers back on the residential side. We're still awaiting numbers on the commercial and industrial side, but I'm gonna tell you some of the numbers so far. And then we'll talk about the impact of that and how we're gonna treat it. Right now, the average single-family home is up 39.2%. Now, that's a lot. But what you have to realize is there's a wide range. Some of the lower end homes are up like 100%, and some of the higher end homes nowhere near as much. So 39.2 is the average. Multi-family homes are up 45.7%. So 2, 3, 4 family homes are really up more than anything else. Condos and mobile homes are up 40.2%. Now, what this means is that if those numbers hold true, there can be a substantial reduction in the mill rate. And the issue, and what I want everyone to start thinking about, we can talk about it tonight, but to think about and plan, and I'm gonna get all types of potential scenarios so we can look at it and see how it works is, but if you're a business or industry, you're gonna be absolutely thrilled with these numbers. You're gonna see significant tax decreases. If you're on the higher end of residential homes, everything will probably be pretty good. The lower end homes are gonna see a very significant decrease in the mill rate, but because they are so undervalued, they're gonna see an increase in their tax bills, and it could be very significant. So what we're gonna look at is whether or not we're gonna do it all at once or phase it in. And we're gonna have a bunch of scenarios. Shelby is working every day with our revaluation team. And we can't even really do the scenarios until we get the commercial and the residential numbers. But we know the increase is not going to be as dramatic as on the residential side. If it was, there would be absolutely no issue, but more than likely, they're not going to go up anywhere near that much. So there's going to be an issue of how we're going to approach this issue from the standpoint of the lower price homes. Many of them have more than doubled in their value. So I want everyone to think about it, and we'll be talking about it. Now, just to make things more, I'm going to choose my words carefully, so this is being recorded. OPM has previously allowed us to move up our reval to 10/1/22. We were scheduled for 10/1/23. OPM has recently sent Shelby an email where they have made a determination. I think they forgot or something, because they told us that, yeah, we can do your reval in 22, but you're gonna have to do another one in 23 to get back on schedule, which makes no sense, because we had, we waited 6 years, 6 and 4 is 10, 5 and 5, which is why we got permission to move it up. So if they're gonna insist on doing it 2 years in a row, we're gonna have to really think about how to approach it, because we're not gonna pay for 2 revals 2 years in a row. So OPM has thrown a monkey wrench into this, and Shelby and I are working on it, but we're gonna need to evaluate that. So I'm just telling you what's going on. So I think what we should do is, let me take some, Shelby, first I'm gonna have you chime in, then we'll take some questions. We'll start a discussion, and then I think we'll get the reval people to give us some scenarios, and we'll bring them back here and have further discussions so we can find the fairest way to deal with these issues. So, I'm gonna turn it over to you now, Shelby, just to jump in and follow up on what I said, and then we'll take questions.
Well, thank you, Mayor Hess. And you've been very thorough in your overview of the process, and we're monitoring, obviously, this revaluation project on a daily basis. We're very actively involved. The assessor's office is very actively involved with the process in every step of the way. We're looking at the numbers. You indicated very accurately that right now we kind of know where things are with the residential categories of the grand list and the commercial and industrial. That's coming. That'll probably be coming in another month or so down the road. We'll have a little bit better handle on what those numbers are going to look like, and then we'll really be able to see, where the shifting is going to occur and how it's going to occur if we implement the revaluation as of October 1, 2022. OPM, I think, there was a law that was passed that set this schedule on a regional basis so that, the state would know how many towns were going out to do a revaluation in any given year. And their goal was to ensure that we have one year where there would be so many towns that would be up for a reevaluation that the companies that do this type of work would be overwhelmed. So, they had the right goal in mind. We were approved for a 2022 evaluation to put us back on our original schedule. And, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to resolve that issue and move forward as we planned. If not, I'm exploring every option. Some of the options would be to, continue to monitor the sales activity and the market activity throughout the next year and then implement it in 2023 instead. And of course, the mayor and this board of Burgesses will make that decision. It's not up to me, obviously. It's up to me to sort of be the steward of the process and keep it going in the right direction so that Laurel have the best options at their disposal, at the end of the day. Trying to think of what else I could add to the conversation. There are many other. Go ahead. Yes.
We hear back from OPM.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
When will we hear back from OPM?
Well, once I hear from this board and from your office, as to what direction you want to go in, then I'll formulate a letter or conversation, discussion with OPM to see if we can resolve it for 2022, or if they're going to insist on the 2023, then there may be also the option of a legislative correction. So, I'm keeping all options open so that, that this board and the mayor has the ability to decide what's best for the borough. I can tell you this, in either event, we're on the right track. Values are up by a significant amount, as the mayor had pointed out. We want to see what commercial and industrial values are going to look like so that we can sort of really get a little bit better picture as to what the impact is going to be. And then, depending upon, possible impacts, you're right. Yeah, we're going to have a significant decrease in the mill rate, which is going to provide relief not only to the business community and others, but it's also going to mitigate the impact of that increase in value. It's just like, the value goes up by a significant amount, but if the mill rate comes down by a significant amount, then the increase is not as dramatic as you would think by just looking at the increase in the value of your property. So we're really not there yet. We still have a long way to go.
So what we plan to do is to put together a bunch of scenarios. So we'll take, well, we'll look at commercial, industrial, and help me through. But we'll look at a higher level residential home, a mid-level residential home, a lower level residential home. We'll look at them as if we do everything all at once to see what the impact will be. And then we'll do it with one or two variations of a basin and see what it will look like. And I know it's gonna come down to the lower priced homes, are gonna get whacked. No doubt about it.
Well, Mary, you're absolutely correct that that's the category that is in the highest demand and where you're seeing the biggest increase in value. That is the sector that, I call them entry-level homes, lower price homes, whatever you want to call them. So those entry-level homes, they are in just such high demand and have been for the last couple of years that, they're going to see a bigger increase probably than the decrease in the mill rate would level off again. So, we're still a little bit of ways off, but I mean, based on the trends that I'm seeing, I mean, even in the last couple of months, sale prices are still increasing. And,
Prices last month, the sales volume probably went down a little, but the price increases were up even more dramatically. So it's not stopping.
I want to think that OPM will have a common sense approach to the Naugatuck situation, number one. Number two, as we see and we hear the news every day about a recession and we see interest rates increasing, we do see that home values are still up there, but inventory is eventually going to drop, I think, as people are not going to be able to afford purchasing a new home at the higher interest rate. How do we handle something 8 months from now when the home values maybe decrease a little bit and are not escalating as much as they are now, just because of the factors of a possible recession, high interest rates, leveling out of the home prices, because they are a little wacky right now. How do we handle that? Is it best to analyze it in 22, or is it best to analyze it in 23, where we would have a better handle on what the future is in the next 8-9 months?
Well, thank you for that question. It's a very poignant question, actually, and I would tell you this: that you don't have a crystal ball, neither do I, but I think we all do have a sense of what is going on, economically. So, I would venture to guess that, at some point with the rising interest rates, that the market will stabilize. I don't have a sense yet that there'll be a significant decline in values. I think they'll just sort of stabilize. And over the longer term, we will hope that that's the result. If there is some sort of a decline slightly over time, then that's a natural function of the market, just like ups and downs would occur throughout any 5-year revaluation period. So what we will do on our end, assessor's office, we will monitor every sale right up to October 1st, because that's what our final figures will be based upon. However, we will continue to monitor that market because, we do not certify the grand list until the end of January. We'll have at least a couple, 2 or 3 more month period to see if there's a change in the trend. We'll follow that trend so that we can adjust ourselves whether we want to be a little bit conservative in our estimates, and so forth. The Office of Policy and Management in Connecticut, they have specific guidelines as to assessment ratios and statistical test that we must meet in order to have our revaluation certified. And there is a range, there is some sort of a range in there. So we can be middle of that range, at the top of that range, at the lower end of the range, depending upon what we're seeing during that period of time, up to October and even beyond.
Explain to Bob, what you explained to me about what I'll call the 93% rule and the manner in which certain assumptions are made in the reval formulas that will address this by keeping the values actually below what they really are. And I forget what you told me the term is, but there was some terms that I think are efforts to try and add some stabilization to the situation. But talk about that 93% rule that you were telling me about.
Okay, so let's think about market value of property. Okay, and we as assessors operate on generally what's considered to be the median assessment value. Now, the median assessment, let's call it a median sales ratio. Median sales ratio means that we're in the middle. 50% of your sample will be above, 50% of your sample will be below. Now, if I were at 99%, if I pushed it to the limit and most of my properties were at 99% of the actual sale value, that would mean that 50% would be above that 99%. And that would mean that many would be actually above, the sale price or the market value. If you approach it a little bit more conservatively, you're down at that 95 or 93 or 94% level. Now you come into a range where the majority of your properties are actually appraised at sale price or below, slightly, just slightly. And that would be a conservative approach. And again, we monitor the market, we look at what the market's doing. If we were in an increasing market, then we would try to be a little bit more, I like to say, optimistic. If you're in a decreasing market or a market like we're in now, you really don't know what's going to happen 6 months or a year from now. Then you might want to be a little bit more reluctant, to push the envelope. And that's something we'll be able to talk about over the next coming months. That's something that we'll be able to address based upon the figures that we're seeing, the sales that we're seeing, and the activity in the market. Did I answer your question, Mayor?
You did fine. No, thank you, John.
All right, so anyone can ask a question now, but I really want everyone to start thinking about it, and let's look at the scenarios, and then we'll come up with the best plan we can. I mean, the reality is that these properties have been undervalued for, I don't know, 50 years. I don't know how long, for a long, long time. And they've never, ever been adjusted properly. Even our last reval, I argued with the reval company because I looked at every sale and the average last time was, I'm going to say, at least 20-something% higher, and they raised things 4.5%. So that's like 1/5, 20%, not 90%. So I just think every time it's never ever been adequately adjusted, and it makes for a difficult problem.
We're using a different company.
Yeah. All right.
If for some reason they make us do it next year, can it be a statistical reval?
I don't know, Shelby.
So, and before I answer that question, let me answer the mayor and say what something the mayor said. Very, very, very important point you made, Mayor, is that, properties haven't been properly, accurately valued in the past, and that creates an inequity in the grand list. And I always look at it this way. If your market value is correct, your taxes will be correct. And our goal here is to make sure that the market values for all properties is correct and within a reasonable range of accuracy. So I know one of the Burgess members had a question. Can I go back to that?
Right.
Rocky.
Yes, if we're forced to do this again next year, will they allow us to do a statistical revale?
So if we're forced to do it again next year, and I want to obviously have a conversation with Mayor Hess as to what our options might be. One option might be to just sort of not implement it this year and just continue to look at the market and then implement it next year. The other option would be to implement a reval this year and then do a statistical. Statistical is sort of like a common term that everybody understands. Statistical next year. So there are several options still available to us, and I don't want to get ahead of the curve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, any questions before we move on? All right. Bob? Oh, item 12. I appoint Eric Kruger, 332 May Street, as an alternate member to the Arts Commission, filling the expired term of Janice Dambowski, term to expire 4/1/24. Charlie, you want to tell us about Eric?
Eric is a longtime Naugatuck resident, grew up in town. He's been residing in town since 1990. His family's been here he's the third generation of Krugers on May Street. Excellent musician, does sound technical work. He is a guitarist, with his main instrument, but he also is an engineer for the town of Wallingford. He works at water pollution control and so forth.
Really?
Yeah. So a real bright individual, a real talented fellow, and at a point in his life where he would like to be on a commission and get involved in town, and the arts is right in his wheelhouse.
I'm not what I said about shaking it up and doing more stuff and not just 9 concerts a year. I mean, I think we should have a lot more going on.
Yeah, the economic impact of the arts is important and needs to be factored in. And yes, concerts are part of it, but there's so much work to be done. By filling these alternate positions and having a full commission, now they have the man and woman power to go forward and make things happen.
Okay. All right, I approve the appointment of Carla Female Varney to the Naugatuck Daycare Board of Directors, filling the expired term of Valerie Dunn, term to expire 4/1/25. I also approve the reappointment of Megan Short, 134 Evelyn Drive, to the Naugatuck Daycare Board of Directors, term to expire 4/1/25. I also approve the reappointment of the following members to the Naugatuck Daycare Board of Directors, terms to expire 4/1/23. Debbie Sabia, Claudia Gottschall, Sharon Heggie Lebansky. Item 16.
Motion, Board of Mayor Burgess approve the reappointment of Joseph Kuzak, Adel Street, Naugatuck, as a regular member of the Board of Assessments Appeals, term expired June 1, 2024.
Second.
It's a very strong nugget, but by the way.
He's got it, yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion, Board of Mayor Burgess approve the reappointment of Adam Bronco, Fairfield Court, Naugatuck, as a alternate member of the Board of Assessment Appeals, term expired June 1, 2025.
Second.
What do we know about this?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion, the Board of Mayor Burgess authorize Mayor Hess to waive the Borough of Naugatuck portion of plumbing permit fees for water main installations at Crestwood Drive water main project.
Second.
All right, just to bring everyone up to date, there were some changes in the numbers that were fairly significant. We circulated them to the residents. The overwhelming majority is to proceed with the project. The project is going forward. Their costs are up. There's a $45, I believe, something in that range anyway, plumbing permit fee that they asked if we would waive it. I'm certainly not against it, so I put it here. All good?
Just I have a question. Is that gonna cause us problems in the future, waiving fees for this?
Well, this is like an emergency though. I mean, like in my mind, there are people out there that are, I don't want to say totally out of water, but it really is an emergency for a lot of people. So I think that it's okay in this case because it is an emergency. But I understand your question. It's a good question, but I think it's okay in this instance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to Board of Mayor Burgess authorize Controller Allison Bruce to refund the following tax refunds approved by tax collectors James Goggin as if read.
Second.
Questions?
Yes, there, the very first two, it looks like it might be duplicate, it looks like maybe in the Excel spreadsheet that was sorted, that the first one came up as a header, and it should be the second one. I mean, I hope to approve it as long as.
We're not gonna pay it twice, is what you're saying. Yeah. All right, so let's approve it and note, have Nancy note for the record to inform the finance office not to pay, William Russo twice at 272 Hillside Ave unless there is some reason why it should be paid twice. With that caveat, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comment. All right, so anyone who would like to speak, raise your hand, chat box, make it known that you'd like to speak. And Jim K will monitor it. First call,
0,
second call,
0, 0.
last call.
Moving on.
All right, Mayor and Burgess comments. I'm gonna start off just so I don't forget. And we can even add this to the agenda or just do it, but over the weekend, our friends at Blossom's Flower Shop on New Haven Road learned that they're gonna have to vacate the premises quite quickly, and they have no place to go. They asked if they could, don't forget, we're gonna sell the old recycling center, but they asked if they could go there in the fall and pay rent, and locate there so they'll have a place for their fall flowers. So I'm totally good with it. And I didn't even discuss rent with them, it just happened, but I just want to get a consensus that we all agree we should do it on an interim basis and make some type of arrangement with them.
Especially for them, they're really good corporate citizens in town. They have worked with several of the PTOs in town, helped fundraise. They came to Cross Street School and helped us with our beautification project, donating plants, giving the kids plants to take home. In fact, we got a bunch of tomato plants growing in my house that we're just giving to my son because he's just a great guy. He's willing to come down and help. And I think town should get back to this family. Good thing.
I agree wholeheartedly, and plus, we're not collecting any rent down there now. If you want to look strictly at a business standpoint, at least, we'll collect a few bucks and give the company a place to call home for a little while.
All right,
And it'll make it look pretty. It'll make it look.
Yeah.
all right, so we'll take care of that this week. All right. So.
Well, everybody's here.
I just,
They don't know.
all right, I'm gonna start with Jim K. Jim, everything okay?
You should ask me.
All right.
Good.
Jim, I don't know if you people know, but he sends out, what do we call them when you test everyone on their ability
Our
to?
fishing test, you all probably have them. Some of you called me in a panic afterwards. I won't name names.
Do you issue report cards on this, Jim, or how does it? work?
No, I just keep track. And then, we tune for the next one because many people are actually getting smarter, so now I will try smarter.
I delete every email, good, bad, I'm scared of them.
If we don't, it works, we have to retake the test. It worked.
No, we'll just keep training and you're gonna keep taking it.
I have to say, the volume of crazy scams I get every day, it just goes up every day.
They are.
I get a lot of stuff from you that it's not.
That's correct.
And I got,
I
Bob,
just delete it.
Bob Net. Remember, you were Bob Net,
Oh.
sending messages on Facebook.
I've been Bob Neff before.
I don't know, if when will it get to buy some gift cards for him, because he's in the.
Only by the Apple one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So was that from you, or was that?
No, that
No,
one
that
was
was-
probably something else that goes through the filter, but we do see them. And we spend countless hours every day tightening up the filters to try to keep the junk out of your hands. Except for the ones that we're testing, just to make sure that we are reading. And the ones that do come through, we don't have that inadvertent click.
There are some that look absolutely legitimate, without saying, for example, we use George Buckley at Naugatuck-CT.com
Right.
as opposed to Gov.
You'll all be happy to know that even if you are legitimate, I still don't answer.
Yeah, we also know who those people are too.
I'm gonna have to send you an email now.
I'm just gonna come to the house, like, you can't get mail, you know?
Yeah, yours is, how are you? We have to meet.
Doesn't sound like.
No, if you're gonna, if you wanna meet, you're gonna call me.
Well, that too, but I mean, those are words that I would choose.
So is that, when you get emails, it says right in the header, this came from an outside source? Is that kind of what my understanding is?
Well, yeah.
All of it, that.
All of it says that? I didn't know.
No, we can add that so that any email that comes from outside source alerts you that it's not from anyone internal. The
Okay.
ones that I am sending will mask like they came from internal, and that header will not be there. I'm trying to.
Gotcha. Go.
Because, you know, I have to break my own rule to be able to get stuff. through.
You never just click on anything that says.
Pardon?
The fishing one will get you looking at that day.
Yes, we are fishing. We also have what's called whaling, which is targeted at just our higher up.
I get the whaling.
That goes through to see if they're coming through it. You've got other scans, legitimate or not. And if you click on it, then you will be alerted on whether it is legitimate or not. And some of you have, and it's okay. I get an email right after that. So, all right, so now I know what
More
we're on.
OCD about
You know, I've actually had to read it because some of them actually look so legit. And you'll go to do it, it's like, just hover and look at the links. And if the links just look off, don't. Or forward it to me or forward it to a help desk ticket. It's better to forward it to me and let me deal with it. Or my staff take care of it than to inadvertently click on it and then move the punch. Because we have to then deal with the fire first before we go through it.
Hey, Jim, I have the floor. Can you tell us a little about pounding the pavement for paint?
I can. So Pounding the Pavement for Pink is a, it's an annual 5K event through Seymour Pink. My wife is going to be a 6-year survivor this year. We have a Team Joanne. We're always looking for any other walkers. We do not run, I am not a runner, but we do have people that run with us. We have our own team shirts. It's a great event down there that supports Seymour Pink. All the money goes into a huge pool that they use for people that have been diagnosed with breast cancer or are dealing with treatment, need help with food, rent, rides, whatever it happens to be, so that these people can get the treatments that they need. so that they can continue to survive, especially during the pandemic. It's been so hard for a lot of these people because there's been lack of income. For them to be able to do it. The goals are somewhere between $70,000 and $100,000. Haynes Construction is our lead, like the title sponsor for it. But you've got other different companies that come through. We have individual teams. Our goal for my wife is $4,500. And any monies that come in, we push right into there, and it's a great event. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning on the first weekend in October, and it's over by around noon. We've been fortunate to have beautiful sunny days. We've had some rainy, dreary days, and we've had some very, very cold October days. But it's a great event. If anybody are interested in it, I did send out a message that was legit, by the way. Contact me and I can give you a little information. Thank you, Charlie. Pete, I'm done.
Thank you for that report, Jim. Rocky.
Yes, sir. Just a few things. On Saturday, the 6th, from 10 to 2 at the Loaded Goat, there'll be a fundraiser for Chip Schofield. Gigi, I'm sure will have a lot of good raffle prizes, and anybody who wants to come down and have a cup of coffee and make a donation. And then on Tuesday, the 16th at 7:45 a.m. at the area, the mayor is going to be honored, not your wife, but the mayor is going to be honored, and it'd be very nice if people can come there to support him. It's being run by the chamber.
Have to be there at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 7:45 to 9:45 on the 16th. Is there a chamber breakfast where they do that? You don't know about it?
I know, I just.
He's still mulling over the time.
You get roasted or
Well, they gotta start with correspondence. I already read the paper twice and had my coffee, so.
He doesn't like getting up early either.
And then on the 20th, Guntown Kids starting at 10:30 over at Guntown, they do butterflies, I believe. Gigi does a great job along with Alan, running that program. And if I may, I'd like to know if I can add something to the agenda.
What do you want to add? to
May
the
I-
agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda discussion and possible action on the charges for recycling bins.
We can talk about it, but I would want the street department to be here.
The street department's here.
Who's here?
John.
Oh, okay, all right, Jim. Is Jim Stewart there?
Look at him.
He's in his underwear.
He's laying back, watching TV.
All right,
So I think we need to add it to the agenda before we can discuss it, don't
we need to do more than that because there's a major cost impact to what you're proposing. So I have no problem talking about it, but it's not as simple as.
Oh, sure, nothing's simple.
So, Jeff, are you familiar with this issue with people putting trash in recycling and asking for more barrels?
Yes, I mean, we had, for a long time, it was okay. We were getting a reasonable number of requests every year. But recently, there was a significant increase of trash requests, many of which were, we couldn't keep up with. We were running out of bins. We were ordering them, and we were telling people that they couldn't have them, especially when they were missing them, because we didn't have them in stock. So we started charging, and what we found was a lot of the people who asked for a second bin, when we told them we were charged or a replacement bin, they would tell us, oh well, I just wanted a new one because my old one was dirty or broken, in which case we would fix it. So it solved a lot of issues. It also, as Sandra responded to Rocky, we found a lot of people who were taking that second bin, and we were getting a lot of garbage and a lot of rejected recycling loads. So if we get over, I think it's a 5 or 10% contamination in our recycling, we get charged the entire load as garbage. So at that point, there was no way we could keep up with the number of requests. We still do provide the first garbage and recycling bin for all new houses for free, but have been charging the $60 replacements. But we still, again, we still do all the repairs for free.
All right, so let's do this. I have no problem talking about it. Why don't we just talk about it first, see what the consensus is? If we want to do something, we'll add it to the agenda. But,
The problem I understand what Jim is saying, but we're supposed to be encouraging recycling. And that second recycling in a bin is free. I would think if they're gonna want a second bin, then they want to recycle it. That's the reason for the second bin. But the problem is, we're supposed to be encouraging recycling, not charging people to recycle. People have already mentioned a number of times, well, then I'm just not gonna recycle, I'll throw it in my garbage can. If I have to pay for the second bin.
So I agree with your philosophical approach, but what I was told is the reality is they're not recycling, they're putting trash in and it's costing us more money. So I would need to really have an understanding of what's really going on before I could assess it.
I mean, I would say that we could reduce the price of the bin. I wouldn't support giving it away for free, because I think that people don't necessarily respect it, don't protect it, don't keep it off the road and keep it from getting taken or stolen or damaged. So I would always support having some type of a fee to make sure that they're actually really want this, because it does provide them some benefit of not having as much trash and doing better with the trash can.
So let's punish people
What-
that are doing the right thing.
Right, so
Because the
do
people are doing the wrong
they
thing.
keep track of who violates the, putting trash in a recycling bin? I mean, do we get a report from USA?
We do. We don't get it reported as much as we'd like to, and we need to get back to USA and tell them it hasn't been as much of a problem recently. With the biggest time when we get requests for extra recycling bin is around Christmas and when people have all these cardboard boxes, to be honest with
Because
you.
they recycle.
There's a rush in them.
Instead of putting it in the garbage, they recycle them. That's the whole
Is
purpose.
there more requests for recycling versus trash?
Well, when they're free, absolutely. The trash bins are $60 as well, but there's an annual fee for those. So we get very few people that want an extra trash bin.
So we set a budget and part of our budget is an expense. And if it costs us $4,000 a year for these extra bins, because they're breaking or getting stolen or what, that gets set in a budget that we've already set. Who authorized this tax on the taxpayers? Who authorized charging taxpayers $60 for this if it wasn't in the budget?
Jim? Where did this come from? From you?
Isn't that something that needs board approval to charge residents for something?
Probably, but, so Jim.
You never brought it to the board.
Let me just, I understand your issue and I'm not even against it. It's just, there's a lot of conflicting
I understand.
information. What is how long would it take you to really assess this and encourage recycling and discourage those who are violating the rules, I think is what we would like to accomplish. Is that a big deal?
Well, I mean, in the past, years ago, we had a recycling coordinator, which we no longer have, and that person spent time going around town and looking in bins, and that doesn't, to be honest with you, that doesn't happen at this point. So we rely on USA when they say this person is not recycling, or their bins haven't been picked up, and that's how they get most of the people, is they leave the bin there until they comply. But I mean, we could put something together for you if you'd like, but as far as the extra money, we don't get it in our budget. The money goes into the general fund. And this is the only way we can maintain our budget, is by charging for it so that there's less people who want them. And we still are selling them and we still are replacing them. But also, the bins have now become, what are they now, 10 years old? That's approaching their life. where the buckets will start to split open. So, I mean, our budget's gonna be increasing in any case in the next few years slowly so we can keep up with replacing the broken ones.
Why can't you sit down with Rocky and anyone else who wants to be involved and come up with a plan to reward the recyclers and to punish the people who are violating the rules and come up with an equitable system?
Maybe it's fine.
George, are you volunteering to be involved with it?
Here. Well, we had a committee for the
Yeah.
recycling, in the center and.
I actually had a question.
Go ahead.
If James can tell me. What is do we have a number of how many requests are being asked for a new bin or a second bin?
Well, we have a number of people who get them. We have a list of people who get the trash cans. We haven't been keeping track of the people we tell, and they tell us they don't want it. And we enacted that fee when we were down to like 10 bins, and we were 4 months away from getting additional bins.
I get
So
it.
we really had no choice, because in that case, we would have had new houses and people who wanted them who wouldn't have gotten any bins. So there would have been no recycling.
But the fee has nothing to do with the unavailability of cans. The fee is something totally separate.
It's true, but it came from our not being able to get cans to replace. That was the issue, is everyone was wanting an extra can. They weren't all out there being used. A lot of them were being used for stuff that wasn't recyclable, that was clearly not recyclable.
I'm just curious, and the reason why I'm asking is, are we talking like 100 residents? We talking 1,000? We talking 100,000? How many residents?
We go, well, I mean, we were ordering, I think, maybe a couple hundred bins a year.
Okay. And
So
those
it's not thousands of bins. But we would, I mean, it's not a huge number. You want to start giving them out again, it'd probably be a $10,000 a year number.
Why don't we take care of the ones that don't comply? The ones that don't comply and screw it up every week, you fine them. It's simple, and take that money, the fine money, and put it into a bin fund so that we can purchase bins, because you probably have more people that screw up every week.
And
That don't care.
we're punishing the good people.
I still think there should
Once
be,
every 2 weeks.
I still think there should be some charge for the recycling bin, because I don't believe it should be completely free.
So Pete, that's my question. Can someone in town say, we're just gonna start charging residents?
Well,
For anything.
the answer is he can, because he did, so yes, he can.
Can he legitimately, based on our charter and rules and regulations of the state of Connecticut?
The proper procedure would probably come here, but I don't think we're gonna give him 10 lashes or anything like
No.
that. He's trying to do the right thing.
Of course.
And there is a problem, and he's trying to save us money rather than spend money, so.
Well, I just want us to immediately stop charging residents. You want to figure this out later, great.
I don't want to figure it out. I want you to figure it out. I agree with your philosophy. Reward the recyclers, punish the violators. It doesn't seem like a hard thing, as Bob said. Well, I would say Jim and Rocky and anyone else who wants to be involved, come up with a plan, bring it here next month. We'll put a motion on the agenda and we'll fix it.
Well, if I can, I'd like to put Bob on the spot because he's on the committee for review and involvement.
You, Bob, and Jack, right?
Yes.
Give Jack a call too.
Are you and Bob are in charge? You could probably do it with a conference call. I would think.
I like to stare people in the eye.
Can't wait.
I'm not my wife, but.
Yeah, she'll kick your ass.
Jim, a question for you. Does USA have the same type of camera systems on their equipment as we had?
They are supposed to have active cameras on their equipment
I know that,
and GPS, but I'm not sure. I have not, had them look up stuff because generally we ask them to go back and refer people who have problems with their collection to USA. And to be honest with you, I've never gotten a call back from a resident saying they refuse to come back. So they go back to people's houses or have a good reason why they're not.
Well, since Bob caused all this trouble, I'd like to meet as soon as possible.
Wow.
Wow,
Take care of it, man.
I caused all this. Mister, can I bring it up?
So Jim, come up with a resolution
Rocky,
before
Let me know
September.
when you're available.
I'm available anytime you want me available. It's
Okay,
public.
I'll send you an email tomorrow morning.
I work for a living.
All right.
When
Rocky,
Bob's
do
available.
you have any additional report?
I'm done, thank you. I didn't mean to take up that much time.
Okay, George.
I just want to comment on, driving over on 63 all the time, and over by the iconic building. It's called the iconic building. They're doing a hell of a job over there. What's that? Yeah, they're doing a great job over there, and it's really nice to see all that overgrowth from that building being exposed and all the work they're doing back there. It just looks amazing.
Agreed.
We really don't talk about it that much because it's kind of something that's already come and gone,
I
but.
remember you were hot on that when you were beginning, so see, you're making a difference. Mike,
Yeah, no comments, just a question. Are we gonna have a discussion about the scooters?
Hold on, wait for me.
He's a scooter man.
I'm gonna start off on the students.
The reason I was.
You read the email.
I leave,
I didn't read the email.
my wife, I leave, and I ran down by. And a person, not even a stop and shop.
An adult person?
In adults, not a kid, in adults.
So here's the deal with the students. First of all, everyone who rides it is supposed to follow the rules of the road. And that basic rule is not being enforced by the company. I don't want to say the police aren't enforcing it, but that, it's ultimately an infraction issue. The idea of the scooters is that what we're supposed to have in Naugatuck is a downtown transit oriented development area where there is less reliance on motor vehicles. The people developing downtown love the scooter concept. Okay, now it works in big cities. It could work in Naugatuck. Right now, it's a pilot program. It's an experimental program, and we're trying to pave the way for when we have many, many people down here living here who are not relying on public transportation. So it would send a horrible message to abandon it because people are not following the rules. However, just like the trash people, the people who aren't following the rules should be punished by the operator, the police, or otherwise. I don't think people, I don't know. So like I stopped a kid coming up Church Street the wrong way. I knew the kid and he's waving to me. Hey, you better be there. I go, I said, you're going the wrong way. He goes, what do you mean I'm going the wrong way? I said, it's a one-way street.
Well, he's only going one way.
You could, yeah, I know, but they don't understand that they're supposed to follow the rules of the road. Like bicyclists, right? I'm sure there was a time when kids used to ride around and go crazy, but now people know you have to follow the rules of the road. So it's gonna take time.
Can I have a question about that? Maybe we should have a revisit with that company and explain one of two things that we.
Like that.
We put Jan Mazeski on the case.
Oh, okay.
Well, we got to, you want to report now?
Might as well.
So we're on scooter, Mike's wife could call the police, and the police would have.
You guys should have got copies of this email.
Yeah.
But they got back to me because of underage riders, for one thing.
Yeah.
They said, Jan, please find the community mode info sheet attached to share with folks. In the app, this feature allows people to report not only damaged or badly parked birds, but also for underage riding. I'm speaking with their fleet manager today, so he can take advantage of this enforcement tool. Here's how it works. If someone notices a clearly underage rider, once that person completes their ride,
You can use this feature to report that rider to us. To use community mode takes about 15 to 20 seconds. You scan the QR code on the scooter in question, follow the prompt, and let us know in the notes area that this was for underage riding. Once you hit the submit button, the scooter goes offline, can't be reserved, and the local fleet manager, that's the enforcement guy, I guess. The local fleet manager is immediately notified of the problem. They will then report the rider who was just on a scooter to our operations team, who will suspend the member because they were in violation of the member agreement. We will also be sending out in-app messages about having to be 18 to ride early next week.
Right, but so you were talking to the owner of the company, not the fleet manager, right?
Yeah, I was
So
talking
who's
to,
the fleet
I was
manager?
talking to Jeremy Lynch. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I know.
He's the guy who came here.
It's like, the franchise.
I don't know. I'll find out.
Yeah, he hires a local manager, yeah.
Right.
That the guy with the white
The
thing?
thing is, our
That's the
police
local manager.
department's probably gonna have.
Well, yeah.
Well, one of the things I
Whoa.
see with that app is that you gotta follow this person.
You gotta run after them.
To see where they park.
I can't take pictures and drive.
That could,
That's crazy.
that could really.
Well, I read that email and I understand what you just said, but that doesn't make any sense of why we have to monitor what's going on with the students.
Yeah.
That's their problem, that's their deal.
Well,
Not for us to have. to
so-
monitor it.
If they're not 18, they're breaking the law.
Well,
They need a valid driver's license.
Yeah.
And they gotta
The
figure
guy you talked to owns the company. The guy who's allowing the problems to happen is under him, his fleet
Well,
manager.
he's gonna call me back. so I'll
He's the
find out.
guy we have to talk to.
I don't even think that in today's day and age with technology, my phone can tell me which direction I'm pointing. That these bird scooters don't have somebody who's watching, seeing people going down the wrong side of the road or going down a one-way street, or have any way of monitoring when a rider's in violation of doing something.
Or up on City Hill
Oh,
Street,
yeah.
it's City Hill
My
School.
navigation yells at me.
We have
when I'm in a parking lot Going the
On how
wrong
far
way.
outside the city they.
Are there numbers on the birds? I mean, a visible number?
The QR code, that's.
Well,
that's it.
we're not close enough to QR code while
And
we're.
we wouldn't be able to see a number, you can just see, barely see the number on it.
You know, the idea is
Pulled
that
over.
there's unsafe, inappropriate use of scooters. When used safely and used appropriately, it's a good addition to our transportation system. Mary, how hard, we need to, maybe if the police set a few examples by, if they see people doing things and make it a point to treat them as they would treat any motor vehicle doing something incorrectly, hand out some citations and let the company know. Let them scan and communicate with the company how it's being misused. If we could have help from law enforcement on that, that might be better than average citizen trying to run up with their phone and scan. And in a comfortable situation, which might escalate and become something worse.
Right.
I wouldn't want to have that happen. But yeah, they have to use it appropriately, you know, you're not supposed to have motor vehicles on sidewalks, periods. No bicycles, no scooters, not supposed to be on there. Linden Park, they really shouldn't be on Linden's walking trail, that is a non-motorized
So we can,
pathway.
that can be removed.
Yeah,
It
we
should,
can
it should be, it's not safe for the walkers, I mean, you should be able to walk safely on a sidewalk. And if you can't do that, we've got a problem with that company and their local manager, I'd love it, if we get him or her, whoever the local manager is, to come here and answer our questions, that would be.
Well, why don't we do that?
We'll do that. Then all,
Yeah, let's do this. Jan, Brett, get the local guy in, we'll cross-examine him privately, and then we'll bring him to a meeting.
Mayor, the scooter
Gonna
just,
set up a
it's no
meeting.
longer Jan, it's no longer Jan, it's no longer Jan.
Scooter. Yeah, baby.
No.
And even if,
Absolutely
do
not.
we have a chief of police in on the discussion?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Oh,
see the
I
license
heard
plate on the
about
car.
Maybe me, you, Colin, and that guy could get together and have a meeting and then.
Yeah.
Then it can come to Burgess.
You know, the scooter almost hit somebody, there's no way to identify it, there's no license plate, or no big number.
All right, that's what I'll do. I'll let you know.
I'm just more concerned with like driving and then hitting somebody on City Hill.
Yeah,
Take them off.
They're going crazy down the road or whatever.
oh, two of them on a scooter at the same time.
All right.
In all honesty, Mike's wife and any one of us should feel safe walking on sidewalks.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't even be an issue.
Especially Stop and Shop.
Absolutely. Plaza,
Yeah.
private property.
And it was an adult.
It was somebody 18 years old.
Oh, okay, really.
It's facial. In Stop and Shop,
Inside.
inside the school.
Correct.
Sit down, give me a shot.
Oh, that's crazy.
Holy, where the hell was management there?
Yeah. Well, that's really crazy.
Throw tomato cans on them.
I'm gonna write that one down too. That's a good one.
Yeah, they should be able to grab a mop. Snap.
Pick it up, lettuce.
Oh,
Clean up robot.
Yeah.
So what to do.
They push the boundaries as far as they can go, and you can push them further.
Think about it from a safety point of view, then somebody can be on one of those scooters, steal from the store.
Sure.
Out the door they go.
Sure.
Oh, they only go 5 miles an hour.
It feels way faster than that.
Yes, it does.
5 miles an
I thought
hour
they
in a
were
store.
15,
Straight up
you know.
fast.
I think it's.
I made it to the IM main parking lot and was too nervous because it
I
was too
think
fast
they
for
go
me.
15 miles.
I was like, no, I'm parking there. That was enough for me. I rang the little bell with that, yep, that was it.
Must have had that Joey Gallo shoe on.
It's
Well,
great.
Joey, that was not gonna hit. No one's gonna hit that.
Other than that, that's all I got. So I'll take care of that.
We didn't get to.
Get you down, one down, right?
Wow.
Guys.
I'm recycled.
Same thing to him.
Brand,
I just thought I'd give a heads up to let everyone know Vision 22 is last weekend of the month of September, actually 9/24, Vision 22 is the normal festivities and events. And along with that, I've been talking to the veteran service officer from the American Legion, who happens to be an on-site resident. And she has offered to come into an audience once a month, so we can set up meetings or a place where veterans are looking for services to come to, where they won't have to travel out of town. And we'd like to set up something maybe, once or twice a month, maybe once a month during the weekday and once a month on the weekend. And I just happened to be talking to her recently, and she was just really appointed as a service officer. I personally think it's a great idea. Get a lot of vets in town.
Yeah.
And, thinking about Mission 22 and going along with that, if the veterans looking for some services, that we should be able to have them come there, whether we, work through the American Legion or the Elks Club, but those are all options, or even if we have one day out of the month, we can come to town hall.
Or the event center, if you want.
Or the event center, at the present time. That's it.
thank you. You're good.
Not really.
Okay.
They finally had that meeting up the top about.
Say that again?
Remember the bus problem of?
Yeah.
Housing?
Yeah.
Well, they don't need a bus. Now they don't need a bus. We bought them all ice cream and everybody's happy. Done.
So ice cream was the answer all along.
Ice cream was the answer.
It's always the answer.
Okay.
Question.
That's all.
All right, Dorothy,
There was a special board of ed meeting in July where they appointed a new principal for Maple Hill. That was Lisa Romano, and she's pretty excited about the new position, and I think that Maple Hill is going to be pleasantly surprised with her leadership there, so that'll be good. Also, Assistant Director of Special Services was appointed. Nicole, she was already within the district, but she just moved into this position. They approved both the assistant superintendent and the superintendent's contracts for another 3 years. And they're still looking for a replacement on the board of ed. So they're getting a lot of traction on that as well.
They have time to tell us of when they're gonna have their place.
Not yet. No, I guess they've gotten maybe a dozen applications or so in from various people, and they're just kind of vetting them out to see who they want to call back. I guess.
who's that?
Whoever that committee is, I'm not sure
Did
who.
they appoint it?
I don't even know that. I don't know if there's I don't know if there's a committee appointed or if the entire board is looking at them
I
together.
thought it was in the board. The board makes the decision.
Right, yeah.
If I could just piggyback on that, Cheryl Penn is retiring. I love her dearly. It was a wonderful get together for her, principal of Maple Hill. And she'll be working at City Hill for 6 months before she actually leaves in January 1st.
Yeah, her focus is gonna be on writing grants at City Hall.
Just a, wonderful principal. She was the acting superintendent for a while, did a wonderful job.
City Hill's where she started, so she
Yeah.
goes back to her.
Yeah, gonna miss her.
And she'll be getting married, retiring and moving forward.
Well, actually, she's gonna be 6 months there, 6 months here.
Oh, okay.
28 years at City, at Maple Hill and 34 years, I think, in teacher.
Yeah.
Charlie?
One thing I would like to ask, this is more or less to the community as a whole. And we talked about scooters on sidewalks. Part of a healthy, vibrant community is a community that has sidewalks that are available for all to use, for walking, for exercise, for children to play on and go on. And I've done a lot of walking around the east side of town, mainly City Hill area, down in North Main. It is, we really need, I don't know how or what the apparatus is to enforce it. But North Main Street, for instance, the grant money, all the work that was put in to redoing that sidewalk on the hillside of the North Main, not the riverside. The riverside's pretty generally well kept. But the hillside where the cemetery comes down or the properties on High or Lounsbury Street have adjacent properties, there's no maintenance of the trees and the vines and so forth that are growing over. There are some areas of North Main, newly redone North Main, that the sidewalk is down to about 18 inches of walkable space with branches and vines right in front of your face, and you can't get through. It's a health thing. You think about ticks and tick-borne illnesses. It's a safety thing because then you're forced to go onto the street and walk around.
We just say, that's private property, it's not borough property.
Exactly.
So it's a huge problem, not just there, but throughout the borough, the sidewalks are woefully inadequate, many places, if not most places. So we've been focusing on fixing the roads first, but we do need to start thinking about and planning for major sidewalk upgrades. I'm gonna say incentive programs or something to encourage people to take care of their own sidewalks, because the town can't afford to just go out and take care of everyone's sidewalks. It's their responsibility. And but it's a huge problem. And you're talking about the maintenance problem.
I'm talking about the overgrowth.
There's sidewalks
Yeah.
that are completely
They're
shot.
completely,
Don't we have an
City.
ordinance about that? That the adjacent property owner is responsible? We have an
and
ordinance.
that should be enforced, I think.
I
Review
would
help.
tell you that, I'm gonna say, take a guess, 70% of the property owners violated.
I mean, it's similar
And
to
by
the
the
sidewalks in
way,
the winter.
half were
Yeah.
like
You know, it's the
75
same
years.
problem.
So yeah, in our area, the neighbors will go out and if they're done mowing their lawn, they go and they mow the areas that people don't maintain. And then one guy got his lawn mowed twice because it was ridiculous. He didn't mow his lawn and so the neighbor was up there mowing.
Maybe
it
it's time
twice.
to enforce the
Was
ordinance.
it no mow May though? Because that was a thing.
Yeah, it looked bad. It was just weeds overgrowing, almost taking over the house.
In a lot of cases too, if it's a situation where at least it's investigated, we find out if it's an elderly person. They
Right.
just can't maintain their watering plan. Then we can get people. We have service groups that, or neighbors, if they know, they will go and help. The problem is the people that are able-bodied and should be maintaining it. It's the law. It's the law. They should
The
do it, which was
landlord- the
enforced.
landlords are the biggest violator, not,
But that would be my one thing, we've talked a lot tonight. It's kind of common theme.
So Charlie,
Punishing those who violate, rewarding those who are following the law and the rule. I think this is just another case, much like the scooters and much like recycling bins. The idea that people that aren't doing what they're supposed to do need to be at least made aware, either through a note, a phone call from the town, letting them know that this is a violation.
I'm just gonna say, you're bringing up a huge issue, and I agree with you. I'm just saying, it's a very, very large, expensive issue with, I'm gonna say, without question, more than half of the town in violation.
Charge them all $60 for their sidewalks.
There you go.
Give them a recycle.
I agree. It's just, we want to make it a livable,
So
quality
as
community.
as one of
It
our
needs to be enforced.
thinkers, I'd like you to think about it. I'm serious. I brought this up in the past and I've been thinking about it. Tax incentives, I don't know, but not tax incentives, but incentives to encourage people
Ice cream sold
to actually improve their sidewalks. And we could get contractors that reduce prices. There's lots of things we can do, but there are a large number of people who don't want to spend 5 cents and then just complain to the town officials. So we have to tell them it's their property, it's up to them.
And letting people
But
know,
to
the
you,
large group
Bob.
of newcomers in town, they may not be aware that it's their responsibility. They may think that that's the town, or as we always find on social media, the infamous they. You know, anytime someone has a problem in winter, they gonna do something about it. The problem is they gotta realize we are they, and so are the homeowners, and we need to work together on it. But if a good place to start, if you just cut overgrowth. That doesn't require you hiring a contractor, that's going out with a set of hedge clippers and
So-
get it done.
This would be an avenue for a new ordinance. What you're really getting at.
We have to look at the old one and see if there's flaws, things we need to fix.
What we're talking about is overhauling the sidewalk ordinance, and in addition to that, maybe punishing certain levels of violators and finding a way to encourage people to improve their sidewalks. It's a big, big thing, but it's something that we should do. So let's say we're gonna put together a sidewalk team to start thinking about suggestions for a new ordinance. And then maybe we should have a workshop. Maybe a workshop would be good, because it's, there's a lot to discuss.
I think it relates to our whole transportation oriented mentality, because the ultimate form of transportation is pedestrian transportation, being able to walk. The best communities throughout the country, when they rate the best places to live, the best communities, walkability is
Yeah.
essential. And this town should be very walkable, only 16.2 square miles. We can do it. We can do it. In trying to accept what's maintaining what we have. That's all.
Well stated. Good points. All right. Go ahead, Bob.
For all, you don't know, if you don't know, Phyllis Burgess passed away. Bob Burgess' wife, she's been sick for many years and 92 years old, she had a heck of a life. And, every time Ryan would stop in the shop to talk about certain things, I say, how's your grandmother doing? She's doing okay today, but she's been sick for a long time and she just passed the last couple of minutes.
Thank you. All right, so last call for comments. All right, 22.
Oh, she is fine.
Yeah.
No,
That's probably down.
Well,
Do you wanna let Francis Gambino say anything?
do I want what? Who wants to say something?
I come in so.
Huh?
Public comment is over. I know, let her speak, but I'm asking.
Well, how do you know she wants to say something?
Because the hand is.
Yeah.
maybe she's gonna say something about her too.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
She went long.
Go ahead, Francis.
Hey, I just wanted to say, Charlie, I think your point about the sidewalk thing and having a workshop, Mayor Hess, I think that's a great idea. I think we have a lot of newcomers in town that are buying property here that maybe don't know that, you know, people that live in cities, right? The city's responsible for cutting the trees that are overgrown. So I think having a workshop or having information out that homeowners are responsible for taking care of their sidewalks when it snows, when your trees are overgrown or your grass or whatever. I think that's a really great idea. I like it. I just wanted to comment on that. And let you know, Mayor Hesed, I'm on call all the time.
I didn't hear the last one.
On call all the time.
Oh, thank you for that. We'll be in touch. All right, 22.
Motion to reset to executive session at.
Stop, Janie. I'm coming to make you,
For the discussion of the following real estate Lanxess property parcels A, B, Y, and Z. Bank of America acquisition of land for downtown parking, tax incremental financing district, sale of former recycling center dash River Avenue, personnel emergency management director, and pending litigation inviting in no. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now before we. All right, we're out of executive session. I'm gonna reconvene the regular meeting at 9:12 p.m. And coming out of executive session, we have one motion, item 23. I will entertain a motion that I be authorized to enter into an employment agreement with Francis Dombowski for the position of emergency management or director, chief of emergency management and homeland security for the term of September 6th through June 30th, 2026, as discussed in executive session, with the only change to the agreement being a reduction in the uniform allowance from $850 to $425. Everything else in the agreement will remain as stated in the agreement. Motion.
Second.
Do we have any questions or discussion? Are you good with that? Okay.
Or as we discussed, any equipment he needs, we put in the budget.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you needed equipment, you would go in the budget.
So you would remove the word equipment from that as well.
Well, yeah. So, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. One abstention. Removed. So I think that we are not going to go back into executive session to make Jim case night easier.
Thank you.
And we will,
Have a motion to adjourn.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?